I have a few things to tell you, and so this speech is a continuation of the speech I made last year in the same venue. And I will be trying to talk about what, very briefly talk about what I mentioned in last year's presentation of why OpenDO has been put forward and what are the principal concepts of OpenDO. I will briefly summarize what has been happening in the last year so that you are aware of what has been happening in the initiative, and I'd like to spend more time on the formal aspect that we discovered on some of the OpenDO projects, in particular in Couverture, which is a mature project for structural coverage analysis now, and to a brand new project that is about to start and that is called Highlight. So let's start with a little reminder on the OpenDO concept. The major idea behind OpenDO was to try to find a way to solve the big freeze problem. Everybody who has worked in high-integrity systems and requiring certification probably understand right away what I mean by big freeze problem. When you work on those projects, after a while you are not allowed to change various aspects of your project, and the more you advance in your project, the more ossified your project becomes. And after a while you cannot change almost anything without having a huge cost on it. So in particular, we are interested in finding a way to manage the certification standard usually asks you to expose lifecycle data, and how can you expose lifecycle data while keeping an agile methodology? And obviously the goal of all that is to reduce cost of development and reduce time to market as well. So another point that is becoming more and more important as well is how we can augment quality without augmenting cost, and how can you reduce residual problems, since there are always residual problems in certification projects, as we well know. So if you remember last year's presentation, the fundamental idea of OpenDO is to try to meet three different worlds. First, the most important one for us is all the world around high integrity development and certification. How can they benefit from what happens in one direction from the Agile and the Lean community, and in some other direction from the open source community? So I explained last year how several of the problems that we find in the development of high integrity systems have interesting solutions in agile methods. In particular, you can see that certification standard like DO178B forces you to go through a requirement-based testing methodology. And in fact, in one of the standard agile concepts is test-driven development, which is very similar to requirement-based testing in a sense, especially since now it has been complemented with executable specifications, which in fact is the agile term for what is called in DO178B or C, requirements and test cases. That's just a mix of requirements and test cases. So there are a lot of commonality here, and the idea was to also try to foster open source communities around those problematics so that people in the high integrity community can benefit from some of the known advantages of open source development. In particular, visibility was kind of obvious in the talk just before me, since you can see that the Tokeneer project, when it became open, acquired a lot of visibility, and that has made it possible to improve the quality of the software itself, because a lot of scrutiny from outside helped find problems that could not be found by the original team first. And we also know that by adopting a completely open development model, you can expect long-term cost sharing with partners that have same needs as you, and you can expect more reuse and so on. So what happens this year is that now we have a new world that is in the picture now. The formal methods that were not completely talked about last year are becoming more and more important, and you will see that through some of the projects I will be talking later. What is nice about formal methods is that now, thanks to the work that has been done by the D178C community, it has established place in the certification process, at least for the avionics industry. And all the idea around formal methods is to transform requirement-based testing into requirement-based verification, where verification is a general term that can replace either testing or more formal verifications. And actually, as Paul was mentioning in his first presentation, test-driven development can be complemented with verification-driven development in an integration, in continuous integration setup. Finally, that we are solving the same problem. And what is interesting with putting formal methods into the loop of this initiative is that not only we can address high integrity development, but we can start addressing security issues that are becoming critical even in the high integrity world now. So, a little reminder that yes, last year we were expecting to see 5 different types of components in this OpenDO initiative. Document templates and education materials are fundamental to help people get into the world of certification and high integrity development. The fact that we could have certified components that are open source and which several people work together that are not only open source in the sense of the sources are open, but everything else is open. All the verification data is open, all the tests are open, and everything is open, is something that, that is of interest. So far, I will not talk in the rest of the presentation. There is no certified component that have appeared in OpenDO, but we expect to have one very soon, since we have been contracted to make one actually. And we'll see that in the domain of qualified tools and lifecycle management, there are some progress in the OpenDO community, as will be shown by the next project. So I'm trying to go a little bit fast on this first part of the presentation, because what I really want to share with you is the formal method experience that we have experienced in some of the projects here. But it is important still for you to be aware of what has been happening in the OpenDO initiative world. So basically, we have staged our approach to create this initiative in four stages. First, awareness, to make sure that people are aware of what we are talking about, what is at stake here. Then create an infrastructure to support the initiative itself. Have some kickoff projects that will start raising interest, because everybody accepted the concept when they understood them. Everybody agreed that the idea is interesting, but now we want to see how it works precisely on some specific project, and that's where the initiative will succeed thanks to those kickoff projects. And then the last stages is community management, and so on. So what has been happening for the awareness part? We have done a lot of awareness work last year in 2009 and early 2010. We have presented the OpenDO ideas and concepts in 9 different conferences, with several papers in some of the conferences that were placed. So you have access to all the papers on the OpenDO website. So now, I can say that a fair number of people are aware of this initiative and why it is interesting to try to mix and match open source development with agile technologies for the sake of developing high integrity systems. We have made specific presentation to industrial people, both at Boeing, at Airbus, and at Embraer in Brazil. We also made a presentation on OpenDO at D178C committee last year in Germany. And we have created social networks to push forward this message using the modern technique of marketing that Jamie, our marketing manager, has put in place with a lot of brio, I must say. So in fact, we have done a lot of awareness this year. That was probably the most important part of this initiative this year.